The free game this week on Epic is Control. That's been out for a little while now. Let's see here.
Huge game though.
Yeah, well, it's been out since August 27th, 2020. Developers Remedy Entertainment, publishers 505 Games. Very positive reviews out of 17,000 reviews, and I've enjoyed it. It's fun. It reminds me of like a really dark, trippy X-Files episode. I think is the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
The
Absolutely.
smoking man from the X-Files. It seems like
it's just like the boss.
Yeah. So it's really cool that way. There's this cartoon in the game called The Threshold Kids. And dude, it's one of the creepiest. It's got like that uncanny valley feel to it, but whenever you stumble across one of these monitors and you go up to it and activate it, it shows you like this TV show, this cartoon thing. And it is so creepy. But that's a very...
those are...
Yeah, that's like one of my favorite parts of the game. But that's a very...
Well, I love the game because of like that exact thing you're talking about, where I'm not a huge horror fan, but I love creepy and suspenseful. So they just had so many good like set pieces and moments, like where you're coming upon stuff and you have this kind of... there's not going to be a jump scare, but... this creepy, like interesting world where like the rules of physics and stuff are bent in these kind of ways that are only hinted at, and you kind of slowly figure out this like chaos.
Yeah, and it's a third-person action-adventure game with some RPG elements in it, where you stumble across mods and stuff that you can customize your loadout a little bit. It's a little clunky, the controls, I thought. I'm not a huge third-person guy. I like my first-person games a little bit more. With Control, like if you want to turn around, you gotta kind of like go forward and turn around a little bit. It's just kind of clunky. So my only real gripe with the game is the controls. Also, which is kind of a big gripe, but it's a very... it's a very minuscule thing.
It's called Control.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll get used to it the more you play. So eventually you'll forget about that aspect. And I've gone through phases where like a lot of times I don't really like dark games. And if you don't like dark games, then you probably won't like Control. It's very dark. For most of it, you're in this building as well. So if you don't like that type of setting, then I don't know. It's free. I mean, you might as well check it out. It's on Epic right now. So
it's free. Like it's the only game I ever paid for on Epic. Because last year it wasn't exclusive. Proof that works. But yeah, it's like awesome. Considering it's only been out a year, I mean, this is really cool. Might be one of the biggest games they've given away in terms of like newness and cost. 2021 and GTA 5, but GTA 5 is like 8 years old. So this is like a really big deal, I think. And yeah, it's just like, it was a really awesome game. Deserved like most of the hype it got. I thought the controls were fine. I remember it being like slightly floaty, and which is like good because you do start just flying by the end.
Spoiler alert!
Like literally, in the fucking trailers. Yeah. But it's like it's almost like a elements of like a Metroidvania or like a Resident Evil, like an older Resident Evil, where you're like unlocking doors and shortcuts, or like even like a Dark Souls kind of, where you have this handcrafted building, and obviously its dimensions are not always making sense because it's one of these magic X-File buildings. But it's very good. It's well written, it's funny at points, and like some of the, it's got that stuff where it's like, this is creepy but it's also funny. And it's got a lot of really cool ideas. Like there's a lot, it's like oozing with originality compared to, I mean, I feel like video games and TV have, and even comics and everything, have gotten to a point where you're just beaten down by mundane and mediocre and unoriginal. And sometimes a lot of like, it's unoriginal ideas, but they're done so well, where you think of like most AAA games, a lot of times that's what it is. They're just doing, stuff you've seen before a bunch of times, but very, very well. And it's good enough. But so it's really cool to see ideas, very interesting ideas. That some of them kind of stick with you in a video game. And like the cigarette maze is really cool. Part of that game. But yeah, it's got a lot of stuff.
It's won over 80 awards, which is pretty crazy. I mean, I don't know the details of all those awards, but still, I mean, that says something. And I'm not a big story guy. I know I've said it before, but Control actually did hold my attention as far as the story went. In the first 10 or 15 minutes, I even noticed, like, I went into this game not knowing anything about it, really. And so, like, 10, 15 minutes in, I was like, the layout of this building doesn't make sense. Like, I just came from over here, and now I'm back here. And, like, it kind of played with my head a little bit. And I'm like, okay, it's definitely one of those games where it's trip, for sure. It's a trippy game. Yeah. And the actual gameplay, like the shooting aspect, I thought felt pretty good. You know, you get to a point where you know you can kind of feel like a monster going into a room and shooting shit. So
that's another thing I really like about it, because it gives you a lot of toys to play with by the end of the game. You know, in the progression, I think is another thing that they did a very good job on. There weren't, again, there's things you can miss that can help out a lot. But let's say you naturally find a lot of these things and progress normally. The pace is really good. Like, I was always kind of getting new stuff to play with for a new area. And I thought that was really well done. They really got the timing of that down.
Yeah, and another thing with Control is I really like how they did the map. A lot of times in games, you'll go into the map, you'll be like, I have no fucking idea, like how to orient myself with this and make sure I'm not missing anything. In Control, the map makes a lot of sense, and I'm OCD, so if I'm going to play a game like Control, I better know that I'm not missing anything. Otherwise, I'm going to drive myself fucking nuts, you know, running back and forth, like, oh, did I miss a room? And there is some of that, you know, because, like, in Control, like...
Well, I missed a power.
Well, because, like, you'll go, and then, like, you'll get a key card or something, and you'll have passed a few doors back where you came from that you could go back and open with that key card. So you can miss stuff that way, too, but it's rewarding, and I think they did a very nice job with it. I'd give it probably... I'm pretty rough with my scores. I'd probably give it a 6.5 or 7 out of 10.
I'd give it way more than that. I mean, not way. I'd say it's a solid 8. And then I'd say with the extra creativity, you know, I'd say, like, if you're looking at purely like rating the game, I'd say probably an 8. But for me, a 9. It's a 9 for me personally.